Going, guys. There is plenty of stories that I imagine are here in the space. Anybody been talking about the coronavirus with different people in their lives over the past few days, past week or so? Hands up if you've been having a number of conversations with people about where to, what to, etc. So there's a good number of people. Welcome to the space, Lexi. And as such, I was actually going to be launching this communication style work today before this whole thing went down, but it would be remiss of me, it would be off point for us to talk about this. Welcome, Liz. It would be off point for us to talk about communication without talking about context, because communication is all about context, and the context of our times is unprecedented. Literally unprecedented. We could talk about saying, oh, well, once upon a time there has been pandemics in different places. However, there has never been a central nervous system such as the internet linking humanity across continents, all places at the same time. Perhaps we could say the majority of human minds all being focused on this one thing, which is seen by some as an existential threat, not just because of the health issues, but also, of course, because of the financial and economic components of this as well. So here we are in this time, which on the one hand is triggering potentially a lot of fear for a bunch of people, for many people, and it's also an incredibly real context for communication to take place. So before anything else, what I actually want to do is I want to set you guys up to go and have a quick conversation with each other about why you have chosen to be here. So you're only going to have a few minutes in this space, and I'm going to have a conversation with other people who are going to continue to potentially see us inside of the Facebook space. I don't know if there is anybody out there right now. I'm focused on the people in the Zoom room. But what we are going to be doing is going into this space and basically sharing with one another why you've chosen to come to a communication workshop, a communication webinar at this time. Perhaps you would choose to be here anyway, but why have you chosen to be here? Is that clear, everybody? Whoever you find yourself with, you're just simply going to share with each other why you've chosen to be here. So what have we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So let's go 6. And then let me swap you into, exchange you with Matthew. And then Matthew, move you to, Matthew, you're going to be in a room with 2 other people here. So I don't know what that means for you, but Bernard and Jade will have the conversation with each other and we'll see what happens from there. So I'm going to see you guys all in 5 minutes, and I'm going to continue to talk to a blank screen to the people who may be there on Facebook, and I'll see you back here very, very soon. So why have you chosen to be here? You're going to see something maybe pop up on your screen saying, inviting you to join a breakout room. Yeah, that's it. We'll see you very soon. So here we go. Now, looking in on Facebook Live, I'm going to jump in and see if I can see who is here at this time. And bear with me a moment as I make my way over to my own page and potentially, hopefully, see myself here. All right, so I'm not sure what's going on for all of you right now, but I'll share with you a little bit about me and my family. Welcome to the space. Welcome to the space. So Pixel 4 XL, you are most welcome to bring your video on and join us. Join me here so I can see you. But yeah, as of this morning, actually as of last night, my wife and I and my children were going to be staying in Kopangan for the next month or so. And then we had a variety of communications with people that convinced us that it was appropriate, good, best move for us to start heading north. And so we're off on our way, making our way back up to our home in northern Thailand. Now, the context of the last however many days for me has been one of conversation after conversation after conversation. And we're here today to explore conscious communication and the opportunity really of the time that we're in right now. Because here we are in a context in which meaning has shifted. This is the unknown. And when we're in the unknown, we can potentially see ourselves, see one another with fresh eyes, enter into this space of engaging with each other in a context that goes outside of habitual modes of communication. So this really is a time for us to be able to share with one another, I believe, in a very real way. When humans experience some kind of threat, very often it brings us straight into a direct form of communication that perhaps inside of our everyday lives is somewhat anesthetized out of us. We can go, oh, okay, this is the habitual status quo, and we continue on inside of that habitual mode of communication. Now, with a pattern interrupt, with this significant shift which is taking place here right now, we've got an opportunity to potentially redefine our relationships, to redefine the way that we want to explore what's important to us. So with this, I'd invite you already at this time to think about who are the people who are most important to you. And if you do have a pen and paper, if you do have something that you can write on, we're gonna invite the other people when they come back in, but you guys can take a step forward on this. Who are the people who are most important to you? Because at this time, perhaps these are the people that you're already engaging with, but perhaps we can also today reconsider how you want to engage with these people. Now, I'm going to check in and see if anyone's got any questions or anything that they're wanting to share inside of the Facebook group. For those who weren't already here at the start, I'm on the side of the highway on my way up north with my family, making our way up towards the north of Thailand. So here I am, I'm checking it out right now to see what's going on. I can see your comments, so we won't see your face. Okay, thanks, Emily. I look forward to seeing you there. Hey, Alison, for sure. Thanks so much for being there. Trish, it's really cool to have you here with us as well. So I don't want to repeat too much content, and I don't know if I've given the people, it just said I've got an internet connection unstable. I don't know if I've given the people in the breakout rooms adequate time for them to share why they're here. I do want to bring everybody back together. So I'm going to close those, and they're going to be back in 60 seconds. So yeah, here we are. We're here to talk about communication. Riff, welcome back, Camille. And we're here to talk about some key skills that we can all concentrate on to improve the way that we do communicate. And a big part of this is not actually what we have to share, but the way that we are there for other people. So with that in mind, Camille, you're welcome to bring your video back on, and I'd love to see you and be able to have this conversation with you as well. Everybody else is going to be back here in just a moment, and here they come. So we should see a good number of people starting to fill up the screen. Welcome back, Maddie. Welcome back, Bernard. Hey, Campbell, welcome to the party. Camille, Cam, I'd love to see your faces if you're able to share them, depending on the context. And I'm imagining that we're going to start to see everything filling up on the other side. So here we go. Everyone's coming back into the room now. Welcome back. I know I didn't give you much time, and perhaps that's a good place to start. That good conscious communication doesn't try to rush things. And yet today, here I am, and I'm going to be rushing us through a variety of things inside of this time. The content that we're going to be exploring, each element of it really ought to be explored for a much longer period of time. And that's what I'm going to be doing over the next however many weeks. Every Monday, there's going to be another communication exploration. Now, we've just looked at why you're here with one another to whatever degree. And I want to present a model to you from the outset. It's pretty inappropriately named for the time that we're in, but the name of the model is Hot Lips. Yeah. Now, Hot Lips, what this means is hot is about having a focus on communication, which is honest, open, and transparent. So I'd like you to consider, as you're going forward throughout the conversation today, how honest you are with yourself, with other people, how well you represent the truth. Do you include all of the important details inside of your communication with people? So honesty is both representing the truth as well as including important data. There is many people who go through life going, why don't people understand me? Why don't my parents understand me? Why don't my family understand me? And yet we're not fully honest about what's really going on for us. So for many of us, there is no mystery as to why there is a lack of understanding, because we are not giving people the full opportunity to understand us. So that's the H. O, another key part of conscious communication, of good communication, is openness. Openness of mind. Yeah, so I invite that here into the space right now. We all know what we know from the 24 hours a day that we have lived for the however many decades we've been here. And that can close us down often in terms of the way that we are willing to see things. And yet, this is absolutely critical for us to be able to commune with one another, to create common meaning, and that is to open our minds. Just as important as this is to be able to open our hearts, to be able to feel what we are feeling. And I invite you right now to sense your attitude, to sense your inner space. I'll say something a little bit risque, to sense your asshole. Can you feel the whole of your body right now? Because having an open heart is also talking about being open to the sensorial, the somatic experience of life. Yeah. Another element of openness is to have an open will, to be influenceable, to have people be able to share with us ideas that we may take on, so that we're not rigid in terms of our will. Yeah. And then T, that's for transparent. Another key part of conscious communication is to be transparent about our agenda. This is different to honesty in a subtle way, and that is, why am I saying what I'm saying? What do I want here? It's one thing for us to represent truth to the best of our abilities. It's another thing for us to be able to share with somebody, like I did on the first night that I met my wife. I said something a little strange from some people's perspective potentially, but I had a prayer to meet my life partner or wife, and I was worried if we just hooked up for this one evening that we met each other, I might shut that prayer down. So I said to her, how do you think someone would respond if somebody else told them that they were looking for their life partner or wife? Now, that was pretty clear that I was creating a transparent agenda, even though it was a little bit third-person-y and therefore not as direct as it could have been. It created a specific context, which we're here 13 years later. So that context rolled straight into our relationship on the other side. So these are three key things that we can look out for. If you're wondering what's going on for you in a communication dynamic, are you being honest with this person? Are you being open with them? Open mind, open heart, open will. And are you being transparent about what you really want in the relationship? Now, those are three key principles, but here's 4 key skills. So I said hot lips before. Who here wishes that people who are close to them in their life would understand them better? Sometimes you wish that they would understand you better. Hands up if you sometimes are like, oh, I wish that the other people would just get me. I need you to see things from my point of view. Yeah. Of course, I'm here and I'm speaking right now, but I am not immune to the fact that you are real right now, and you are just as alive as I am, just as everybody else in your life is just as alive as you. We want to be understood. So does everybody else. Stephen Covey, whose work I absolutely adore, talks about how a key principle of interpersonal effectiveness, a key principle of relationship, is to be the first person, and perhaps the other person will be, but we can be the first person to seek to understand. Now, to understand, it requires some key skills. Often when people think about communication skills, they go, oh yeah, I'd love to be able to express myself so I can get more of what I want, so I can make clear requests, so people can meet my emotional needs, so that I can somehow have more of what I desire show up in my relationships. Let's turn that around. Let's focus this conversation to begin with on how you can bring more of what other people are looking for to them. Yeah? So the L of lips is listening. Some people who, okay, hands up who's a good listener here. I'm a good listener sometimes. Hands up who notices that sometimes you're spending more time listening to your thoughts about what somebody's saying than listening to the person themselves. I can do that one very much as well. Yeah, sometimes Lexi. Yeah, so we can see that this, yeah, this can play out. I would suggest it can play out very, very often. We got 5 different levels of listening that we work with inside of our work, and we're going to send you something on the other side called levels of listening, and for you to explore what are different aspects or what are different levels that you can get to inside of listening. What I put forward is, before anything else, if we're wanting to be conscious communicators, we start with asking ourselves how well we are listening to the people we are with. Last night, we cancelled a booking that we had, which was to start today. And I'm not going to go into all of the backstory on it, but there was a difference of opinion between me and the landlord. And I recognized for myself, I really wanted her to understand my opinion so that we could get back all of our money. And then I felt like a tension was starting to rise up as I was advocating for my position. That was one of those instances where it was very easy for me to focus on what I wanted to say. And in that moment, I realized my breath was coming up to here and I needed to slow it all right down. So let's start there. If we're talking about listening, that begins with listening to ourselves, paying attention to what's going on inside of ourselves, and bringing a deep quality of listening to other people from that. So I really advocate for you guys in this time and at any time in your life to focus on the quality of listening that we bring to the people that matter most. Many of us know that there is this form of listening that goes on. It's like, oh, okay, I'm here and yeah, I'm paying attention. But actually, we're quite divided. This can happen very often these days. Now, so that's one key element that is important for us to focus on. The next, the eye of lips, is inquiry, the quality of the questions that we ask. So who here sees themselves as a good questioner? You practice quality inquiry. Put up your hands if you see yourself as somebody who asks the questions that matter. Now, with this one, I like to say with questions, the quality of our questions determines the quality of our quest. The questions we ask open up doorways. Anyone here traveling? I think there's a good number of people who are traveling right now, yeah? And who's had conversations with other people who are travelers saying, where have you been? Where are you going? And who has also had conversations like that where you're like, oh, that was maybe the wrong question to ask, because somebody starts to share with you wherever they've been and wherever they're going, and we find ourselves tuning out at a certain point inside of that conversation because we actually care about different things. Imagine the difference between asking somebody, where have you been, where are you going, to what led you to go traveling? Yeah? What have you learned whilst traveling? Where are you going next, and what are you hoping to get from that experience? Now we're going from the horizontal axis of action in space to the vertical axis of what's going on in the feelings, what's going on in the consciousness. Oh, can you not hear me there, Pablo? Am I back? Or is it's still no good?
I can hear you. You're good.
Okay, good. Thank you. So this is a second element, and this is inquiry. And we're going to come back to that in a moment. Third element of the P is quality of presence. Now, this is like the listening, but it's really being present to the emotional domain, being present to how different words we say trigger different responses, being present at the level of emotional intelligence. And finally, this is the last one, which is the S of speech. So very often we think about communication as being about what we can say, how we can communicate ourselves. But I'm putting forward that that is, in some ways, the least important of these 4 things, because it's when we have the data that comes from deep listening, from skillful inquiry, and from being really present, that we can then share, that we can then speak from a space of insight. from a space of being well connected to people. Does that make sense, people? If we listen well, if we ask good questions, if we're really present, then when we speak, it's enriched by all of that context. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into breakout rooms again. And I want you to think about inside of these breakout rooms, a particular person. So right now, I want you to identify somebody in your life who is important to you. Could be a family member, could be a partner, could be a friend. And I want you to think about what questions you would like to ask them. So for anybody who's on Facebook Live, I invite you into this as well. Let's spend a minute here inside of this space with each other. So think of somebody, if you've got the means, write down their name, and then this is the brainstorm. What questions would you like to ask them? If you're thinking about a parent, what have you not asked them about their childhood? If you're thinking about a partner, what would you like to ask them to get a more intimate understanding of what it's like to be them from the inside out? This skill of brainstorming questions is a lightning path to opening up completely new possibilities in our relationships. So go for it. Think for a moment. If you're there inside of the Facebook Live, please take a few moments now as well and brainstorm some questions you would like to ask a particular person. All right, cool. I've hidden myself and I don't know how to unhide. Christina, if I go like this, ask to start video, maybe something comes up on your screen right now. So basically you guys are going to go into this space with one another and share some of the questions that you would like to share with others. Now, what I'm going to do is open these rooms, share some of the questions that you would like to ask this particular person. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up these rooms. You're going to have only about, I think I'm back. You're going to have only about 4 or 5 minutes inside of this space to be able to share these questions, but listen well. And I invite you on the other side. Hey, welcome guys. So cool to see you. I'm going to invite you to share these questions that you're wanting to ask into the event page, because we can get a lot of quality questions by bringing all of our collective intelligence together. So again, you're going to go into these breakout rooms. You're going to share with the person you're with inside of the breakout room the questions you would like to ask. Some of you, I think, will still be in this space with me, but we will see what happens from there. Is that clear, everybody? On the thermometer, how clear is that? That's all clear? Hot communication. All right, I'll see you guys real soon. We'll see who's staying in here with me. Please accept the breakout room and we'll see you on the other side. So with that, who is still going to be here in the space with me? I have a feeling that I am going to have a couple. Let's see. Okay, so right now I can see that there's some folks who are here on Facebook as well. Camille, Emily, Christina, James. All right, let's talk together. Unmute yourselves and let's see if we can touch on a couple of you. Welcome, Emily. So good to see you, darling. Emily, will you hear from my setup on this of who are you focusing on and what questions would you like to ask them?
Yes, I'm still in contemplation mode over that one, of the who and the what. But yes, I did. I caught that.
Okay, so can I ask you a couple of questions to see if we can use you as a guinea pig in this conversation?
Sure, no worries.
Okay, so let's see if you're brave enough to go for this one. I'll put this out there just as a bit of bait and see how we go. So my question is, who do you not want me to ask you about?
You know what? Go for gold.
Okay, so who is it then?
Who do I not want you to ask me about?
Yes.
I I don't know. I guess I'm kind of open. Maybe don't ask me about my boss. That's too trigger. My ex-boss. That's a bit triggering right now.
Okay, very good, very good. So, so given that those triggers, would you say that you're more inside of understanding yourself than you are understanding your boss?
Yeah, am I more inside of understanding myself than my boss? Yes. Can you just ask that question? I'm not quite sure if I understand.
Okay, so what I mean is, do you think that you have a clearer understanding of what's going on for you in this relationship than you do what's going on for your boss in this relationship?
Yes. Yes.
So what questions might you ask your ex-boss to find out more about what's going on for them?
Yeah, he's ex-boss but current client. So
Okay.
yeah, what would I ask to find out what's going on for them? What are you finding most challenging right now? I guess I could ask something like that.
That is a beautiful question that gets us straight into a very real territory. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to close the rooms. We're going to see how quickly people come back in. But that is a bold question. You know, I said before how, for those of you who are here, that Pablo's favorite question that he's been throwing out to people recently is, how do you feel? How do you feel right now? And I love this because it gets us straight to a deeper context than opinion, than just the context of what is going on for them, but rather the impact of that context. Once someone starts sharing about feelings, they're likely to start sharing about where those feelings are arising from. And now we're getting into the deeper empathic domain of what brings humans into a common space of understanding, because we all know what it's like to feel a whole range of different things. So with that, Emily, thank you so much for doing the guinea pig thing. And I'm really intrigued to see if this person watches this video and if they know who they are and what that would mean for your relationship from here. Yeah. So, hey guys, welcome back into the main space. Now, with the time that we've got, we're kicking along nicely inside of the time that we've got. So, what is communication? Is there anybody who would like to share what communication means to you? There's no right answer on this. We've all been communicating. We're doing it right now. What is communication to you? James, you've unmuted yourself. Please, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. I think the purpose of communication is connection.
Yes. Yes. Like getting straight to the nub of it. Yes, yes, yes. Because literally the etymological meaning of communication is to make something common. And for something to be common, there needs to be some shared connection to whatever that thing is. Yeah. Do you want to expand on that at all, James?
Well, I mean, you can look at communication as sort of two people, or if they're more in a conversation, coming together to understand each other. But unless you actually go deeper for the connection and, you know, really seek to dive deep through the quality of your inquiry, you can circle around issues. There. And when we're connected, we just have better empathy. We're more, as you say, with the people and connected. So I'm always looking at saying that it goes beyond understanding to a purpose of real connection, a real heart connection and a head connection as well.
Let's throw this out to the group. Thank you. So there is a mental and emotional connection that can be there for us, which put them together, and perhaps we've got a spiritual connection that is going on. Now, is there anybody who would be willing to share, thanks James, what can get in the way of connection and understanding in our communication? I'm going to wait on somebody else on this occasion, James. I'm looking around. What can get in the way for you in terms of experiencing connection and understanding in your communication? Yeah, Camille, I think I saw a hand.
For me, communication is the way to interact each other, and it could be verbally or physically, and I think it's something we can learn. It's not we learn when we are tried, and we can learn to listen and adapt our communication better, I think.
Yeah, this is key. So, as you said here, this is learnable stuff, and it's also perhaps a process of unlearning as well. Unlearning certain assumptions that we make about ourselves, unlearning certain things that we think about others. Just an interesting side note. You know the word respect. This is a weird word for many of us. If we look at the word respect, we can see it says re, which means afresh or anew. And then spect comes from spectare, or spectacle, meaning to see, like having spectacles on. So to see afresh, one of the things that can get in the way of us having good communication is when we have a fixed view of people, and therefore we are listening to them as if we already know who they are, and not allowing a space for them to show up in a different way. For example, if you've ever been in a relationship and you think you know what the other person's going to say already, or if you've ever looked at your parents and they start to say something and you can't hear them because of the dominoes which are going on in your head about with the assumptions that we are making. So I'm going to put forward something which is like one of the key terms which comes up in communication theory that gets in the way of understanding and connection, and that is noise. Noise gets in the way of understanding and connection. And there is some key kinds of noise. One kind of noise is, I don't know what you can hear from around me right now, but you know, there's the noise in our atmosphere. There's the noise of things which are going on around us, whether that's traffic, whether that's TV, whether that's other people talking at the same time. There's literal noise in that way. The more subtle and therefore difficult to grab onto noise is the interior noise. The thoughts going through our heads, the attitudes that we're holding, the energy that is there in our body, the noise that can be there from closing ourselves off in a physical way, in the architecture of our body, not allowing us to actually be an open vessel to receive the information. So one key thing that we can focus on in our communication is how do we turn the volume down on our inner noise? How can we continue to be as aware as possible of the thoughts going through our minds, the emotions going through our body, and to create space? Who's got any ideas around how you can turn that volume down so that there is more peace or more space to hear other people? What do you do to be able to create that space of listening and therefore potential of understanding and connection? I see you, James, and as ever, the powerful contributor that you are. I will go there in a moment, but I'm going to give it just a couple of other seconds. Yeah, Bernard. And then Christina.
One of the things I might do, if there's noise, that I'm going to reveal whatever that noise is. So I'll be transparent about having some noise, and then clear it, release it, and then I'm more present.
Yeah. So that transparency of naming the noise turns it from being like a static frequency into something that you can now turn down because you've named the station in a certain sense. Yeah, you've got control of that.
Yeah,
it's a very intimate act as well, I think, in some ways, Bernard. Would you agree?
Yes, it's very vulnerable to actually admit whatever the story might be around that. To be able to be that vulnerable and transparent creates connection and helps the whole situation.
Yeah, yeah, and we're not going to go too deeply today into what we can do to then be able to deal with the triggers that may arise as we share our thinking, because we also know that it can create connection. It can also create some psychic that can go on there as well. But we'll come back to that at a later time. Thanks so much, Bernard. That's awesome. Christina, over to you.
Yeah, a trick that I sometimes find myself defaulting to if I've lost the focus of what someone else is saying is I try and latch on to something they're saying that can lead me back to a place of inquiry. And I also think that sometimes we wait for the moment in the conversation when we can say our own thoughts. And if you're intentionally playing the role of listener, then I find it's useful to switch that a little bit up towards the question mark at the end. And anything that they're bringing, I can reconnect with them by formulating it into a response that has a question mark at the end.
Now, what I love about what you're bringing up here is a way of forwarding the conversation from the other person's space and therefore connecting to what's important to them in the process. We know when we're talking about skillful inquiry that we can ask leading questions, which is kind of like where we do questions that they're not really questions, they're statements masquerading as questions. And so there's a difference between that and real authentic curiosity. But what I do want to put out into the space right now is that whilst there is this whole conversation going on to do with social distancing, this is also a profoundly profound time for us to connect with one another and to offer our listening and offer our questions. This is one of the ways we can really love each other. Gabri and I have had a couple of really beautiful conversations with each other over the last couple of days, where we've been sharing things with one another, asking the questions back and forth with one another. And it means that even as I'm driving away from Kopangan and you're still there, Gabri, I'm feeling the thread of our connection so strongly there because of the quality of listening and inquiry that I feel is there on both sides. Now, if we're to take responsibility for that, it's other people's business whether or not they are choosing to practice curiosity, curiosity has the same root as curiosity. So we can practice curiosity towards other people and really listen from that space of curiosity for what is going on for them. And the more that we send that network of care out across the world at this time, the more intimate we can actually be. And this social distancing could actually be transformed into social connection at another level through intentional threads of conscious communication that we are making happen simply by hello, as well as if there's anybody at home or watching this on Facebook right now, perhaps this is some of you guys here as well. What a great time for us to be having the conversations that matter with the people who are right there with us as well. So we've touched on a couple of things that can get in the way of connection. Bernard has talked to us about sharing what is arising in our minds in real time, creating what I'd call visible thinking. So it's very intimate and shares the inside out experience of what we're going through. Christina has talked about if we get lost in our thought, reorienting and coming back to a thread that is sourced in the other person. Evelyn, I noticed that you're not on mute. Is that because there's something you'd like to share? No?
Excuse me?
Was there something that you wanted to share just because I noticed that you weren't on mute?
I was
yeah, I just noticed that you weren't.
I was leaning in because...
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I just saw that you weren't on mute. Was there something you wanted to share before we went forward? No? Okay, cool. I'm so happy to have you here. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So here is another thing we can do, which my wife calls stop, drop, and feel. So when we are having something that gets in the way of connection and understanding, very often it's because we're busy up here, yeah? So we can stop the mind simply by going, oh, there you are. And then we can drop into the body. Breath usually does a good job. And then we can feel ourselves as fully as possible and bring our fully feeling presence into the communication. Example again, can you feel your asshole right now? Why do I keep asking you that? Because it's right down at the depths of your body. It's right down at the bottom point. It's not saying don't pay attention to your pinky finger or anything else. But have you ever noticed that a fear response often goes together with puckering up our bottom? When we are worried about something, something comes up inside of us. It happens in subtle ways all the time. It's really hard to feel stressed and feel loose right down at the base of our being. So one way we can drop right down and feel ourselves fully is to drop right down into the base of our body. Does that make sense, guys? Anyone more aware of their bottom hole now than they were before? Anyone willing to own that in a social space with one another? Yes, I've just presenced however many assholes. So with that, another key principle of communication is what I talk about as being the transition from golden rule thinking to platinum rule thinking. Golden rule, treat other people as you would like to be treated. Platinum rule, treat other people as they want to be treated, and share with other people how you want to be treated. Elicit requests, elicit other people's thoughts, opinions, etc. from them, and find out how you can love them. Who's familiar with the 5 love languages? Yeah? I missed how my mum was loving me for so long because I was focused on what I was looking for as a particular form of love, and completely missed the countless ways that she was loving me. Every time she let me do whatever I wanted to inside of the space, every time she made me a meal, every time she knitted me an incredible blanket, because I was looking for something else. Yeah? When we find out what other people's love languages are, we can then do our best to meet their love needs inside of their language. We can also listen for the way they're loving us in ways that we might not have been listening for before. Now, a beautiful way to be able to practice platinum rule is to learn NVC. Who here plays with NVC or has worked with NVC before? Non-violent communication, yeah? So if you have not, I'll come back to my mum again. From a pretty early age, I had this story going towards my mum of, oh, she always tries to give me advice. She doesn't listen deeply enough. She's always trying to give me advice. And you know what? She was trying to love me through the advice she was giving, but I had these kind of psychic walls up to receiving what she had to say because I had a story going on. And it took me, I don't know, from when I first experienced this, maybe about somewhere between 17 and 20 years, to pinpoint exactly what was going on there for me and what I could do about it. And so this one day, I just learned NVC, I was starting to apply it, and my mum heard a few things that was going on for me and started to give me some advice. And I said, Ma, can we stop for a moment, please? When you started to give me advice right now, I got frustrated because I really have a desire or a need for autonomy, for independence and finding my own way. I was wondering if you'd be willing to, instead of giving me advice, to ask me as many questions as possible, or if you want to give me advice, then to ask for permission, such as, would you mind me giving you some advice right now? And if I give you the permission, then I'll be more open to it. Now, what happened on the other side was she really did step up to the plate because it was such a simple, actionable request. Let me focus on questioning and let me ask for permission. But for like whatever it was, 17 or more years before that, I was going, oh, here she goes again. All she was trying to do was love me, but I couldn't hear it. And once she started to respond to that request, it's been like, I don't know, 12 years or something since I made that request of my mum. And bless her, and you know, so much gratitude towards her. She's done her best over that time to really ask as many questions as possible and to seek permission. So NVC is a wonderful tool, and we will come back to that inside of this webinar series that I'm going to keep on rolling out over the coming period of time, as well as some subtle wrinkles that I think can be ironed out in relation to NVC, because there's some problematic components to it sometimes. Now, so going forward, what I want to focus on with the time that we've got left is something that I think is one of the most beautiful gifts that we can give anybody. And that is our acknowledgement of who they are, how we see them, and our gratitude for the difference they've made for us, the difference they've made to us, the blessings that they have brought to our lives. So who here can think of somebody in their life who is important to them, that they They're just so happy. Is part of their life. Put up your hand if you can think of somebody right now. You're like, yeah, maybe there's some other things that come there. Hold that hand up. I want to see how many people here can think of people out there that they could share acknowledgement and gratitude towards. Fantastic. Okay, great. So this is going to be a key takeaway and actionable that we can take from today. So what I want you to do right now is write that person's name down. Write down the name of the person you're thinking about. And my first question for you is, what can you acknowledge them for? What strengths? Oops, sorry, it looks like it's gone and stopped. Can you guys hear me, see me? Evelyn, you still got me? I'm seeing all pauses on other screens. So I'll keep on going, hoping that everybody else can still see and hear me. Thank you for that, Gabri. So what strengths can you see in them? What traits do they possess? When I say traits, are they kind? Are they funny? Are they compassionate? Now, the next one is, what are you grateful to them for? How have they blessed your life, this means, or what difference have they made to you? Thank you so much, Shane. What difference have they made to you? How have they blessed your life? Allow yourself to be a little touched by that, or maybe a bit more than a little touched by the difference this person has made to you. If anyone's thinking of their parents, chances are you could start off with, well, I'm grateful because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. If it's a long-standing friend, it may be the companionship and understanding over the years. I don't know. Now, with that, thank you, Liz. Thank you for being here, darling. So with that,
Bye-bye.
see you, darling. I'm going to pop you into the breakout rooms again. And I want you to share with the other people, the other person who's inside of your breakout room, who you were thinking of and what you would like to acknowledge them for and share your gratitude for. Yeah? And then we'll come back together on the other side. Now, is there still people in all of these? All right, I'm going to delete that one. You're going to stay in here. Everybody else,
Cairo, can you repeat that? You were cutting.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Matthew. So you're going to go into the breakout room and share with the other person who's there, who are you focused on? What do you want to acknowledge them for? And what are you grateful to them for? Is that clear, everybody? Have fun with it. These are people you care about who evidently mean something to you. So you don't know the other person all too well, perhaps, that you're going to be there with, but invite in the beauty of the connection that you feel towards the person you're focusing on into this conversation. Now, the rest of you, I'll see you back in here. You're only going to have like 4 or 5 minutes tops, so I'll see you back here real soon. Here we go. Go into your breakout room. Look at that. Yep, so we still got a bunch of people who are unassigned here. And most everybody else has got a partner. So this time, let us work with somebody who is going to still be here inside of this space. Come here. I don't think you're going into one of the breakout rooms. Would you be up for sharing with us who you're focusing on and what you love about them? Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, we're playing unmute tennis. That's me. So who are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about my sister, Capucine.
What's her name?
Capucine.
And so what do you see as her strengths, or what do you admire about her?
Her confidence. Yeah, in lot of levels. And I'm grateful for her listening and her good advice.
What kind of difference has it made to you, having her listen to you so well and giving you good advice?
About, for example, my relationship with my parents.
She's helped to improve your relationship with your parents?
Yes. Yeah, she's a good link also.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. So, so I'm wondering if you'd be willing to call her up and let her know that you were in a conversation today and you wanted to thank her for some things and acknowledge her for some things.
Yeah, I will.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. I thank you for saying I will, because what I'm actually inviting in here, and I will say this again when everyone comes back, but I'm inviting in that we are here to be angels. You know, for those of us who are privileged enough to have our basic needs met, and therefore we're not needing to expend so much energy on taking care of those base needs for ourselves, we can then from there go, okay, what's the best I can give? What's the contribution I can make? And we know that one of the love languages that we can practice is communicating our love to other people. And two of our key ways of being able to communicate our love are acknowledgement and gratitude. Acknowledgement, I see you. Gratitude, I receive you, and I'm so grateful for what I receive from you. We say to the other person, you are a contribution to me. If we had a world that was consistently focusing on acknowledging people for who they are, for their gifts, for the inner beauty that we see inside of them, and expressing our gratitude in a felt way, what a great foundation for us to have a world which is full of understanding, in which threat and fear goes down, and in which trust and connection go up and deepen. So with that, I don't know where people have gotten to inside the breakout rooms, but I'm going to be rude and close their rooms now. And they got 60 seconds to come back into the space. So, you know, we got only a few minutes here left together. I just want to say thank you so much already. I'm going to repeat this with everybody when they come back in. But for me, one of the real opportunities of our time right now is to reach out. There is people in France. Come here, you back in France now? Yeah, so there's people in France who are going into lockdown. There's people in Australia going into lockdown. Thailand looks like it's about to go into lockdown. America, Italy, Spain, you name it. New Zealand, it's going on and on. Different countries all the way around the world, millions upon millions of people. Yet, somehow, by divine providence, in this time, we happen, whoops, internet connection, okay, I'm good. In this time, we have a central nervous system that connects us all. So this one mind possibility, this one consciousness, this ability to be able to come together in a macro connection is possible. I'm sorry if I got in the way of you guys having juicy connection with each other and sharing more about the people that you love. I put forward to everybody who was here in the space with me that because most of us here can say our base needs are met. Who here has enough food at this time? I got enough food. Who's got a shelter? Base needs taken care of. All right, base needs taken care of. Time to be angels. What is the contribution that we can make? And so my challenge to all of you here, and if you're watching on Facebook Live as well, my challenge is to take what it is that you have thought of in relation to this one person and share it with them. Whether it be by message or whether it be even better by call, get in touch with them and let them know that you are thinking about them. And this is what you would like to acknowledge them for. And this is what you're grateful to them for. And if we were to do this and spread out a movement of consistent sharing of acknowledgement and gratitude, I have a feeling that that is a wave of love that could really enrich humanity and do wonders for us at this time. Yeah. So let's do a recap. I have been blazing along like some hyped up Tony Robbins-y, although sitting down on the ground in the side of the highway, not quite Tony Robbins in front of a massive group of people in some big venue, but I've been moving along at a real pace. There are so many things that we can go into. and I will be going into at a more leisurely pace. But I've been wanting to start to create some of the playground that we can work in relation to conscious communication. So today we've talked about key elements of communication, such as what it is, connection, understanding. We've explored these three elements of these three qualities of being honest, being open, being transparent. We've also talked about this elements of listening, the importance of listening, and that there's different styles of listening. Yeah, we can listen indifferently, totally not there. We can listen with judgment, prejudicial listening. We can listen objectively. Oh, that's different to what I knew before. We can listen empathically and understand what's going on at the heart level. We can listen generatively. Why is this person even communicating? What's seeking to come through? So we explored listening. I've challenged you to think about what is the quality of questions that you're bringing to the people in your life, because that can open up so much. We've talked about presence and parts of our anatomy and how we can get present through paying attention to the deeper parts of our anatomy. And we've talked about speech, a touch, and that's something that I look forward to coming back to, this speech element. Yeah. I'm so passionate about that last one as well. I'll come back to that some other time. Yeah. So we've also gone on to talk about what I call the platinum rule, seeking to understand people on their terms and love them on their terms, and practicing things such as NVC. And we've also talked about acknowledgement and gratitude. The short of that is that there is a lot that we can bring to the communication process. And what I really call from us is just what I said before. How can we do our best to be proactive reach-outers, reaching out to other people during this time? For many of us, I don't know about you, but to me, it's always funny when I hear that someone's talked about me when I wasn't there. It's almost like I wonder if I don't exist unless I'm actually present with people. And when someone calls me or messages me, it's like this beautiful lightning strike that says, hey, you there, I'm thinking about you. It gives me a sense of realness. It gives me a sense of loving connection. And so a further action that we could take is either just looking at who's live in Messenger and going, yeah, I'm going to call you, or even identifying who is a circle of people that I would like to reach out to right now, and just share with them, hey, how you going? Or as Pablo would say, how are you feeling right now? Yeah, and get straight to the juicy stuff of what's going on for those people right now. So, yeah, with that, we're coming to the end of this hour together. I'm a really big advocate for people coming together in these connected spaces with one another. And as I bring this space back together again next Monday and other things before too long, there's going to be a real space for more dialogue, more time together inside of the share spaces with each other, a mastermind element in relation to how we can be the best communicators possible. I also wanted to let you know that I'm going to be running things for people who are wanting to take their work online in the coming time. So if you're a coach or a therapist and you're wondering how you can set yourself up to be delivering on-point work for people at this time, then there's great mindset challenges, relationship challenges. I will be running things in relation to that. Other than that, yeah, there's a variety of things that, like, there's a bunch of people here who are, I'm working with, such as Gabri, such as Pablo, such as Maddie, and we're going to be sharing a whole range of things over the coming period of time. But if you want to see what I'm up to personally, it'll be going out on Instagram, which is like my name, Cairo Ra. I'm the only Cairo Ra that I know of in the world. Only 8 letters, but a weird combination of them apparently. So you can check in with me there, or otherwise I'll be coming out via Facebook. But with this, guys, I just want to say a really big thank you, because I believe that we've really got one choice to make with life. And that is, what do we do with the time that is given to us? And you've chosen to be here. And to me, I don't take this opportunity for granted. For me, it means a lot that I've had the blessing of your consciousness, the blessing of your awareness and your attention. And I thank you wholeheartedly for that. So finally, I invite you now to unmute yourself. And although our level of relatedness to each of the individuals on the screen may be relatively low, I invite you to look around at the different people you see right now and to wish them well. May you be well, may you be happy, and may you be loved. And I'm going to invite us all to unmute ourselves and say this together. Yeah, so that we can just share one piece of communication where we tap into that all together. So I'm still seeing a bunch of people who are muted. Can you unmute yourselves? Because I love to hear all of our voices, as messy as it's going to be, I'm sure, unrehearsed as it is. But again, the statements are, hey, man.
Stay healthy. May you be well.
May you be well.
May you
May
be
you be
well.
well.
May you be healthy.
May you be happy.
May you be connected.
Every hour of the day, every day.
Yeah, may you be connected. May you be loved.
May you communicate.
Good conversation.
Yeah, communicate, everybody.
Hey.
Share your heart.
Hot lips everywhere.
Hot lips everywhere.
Speak your
Woo! Hot lips in the time of coronavirus. So with that, again, thank you so much for the time that we've shared with each other.
Viral.
I like cheeky people. Thank you. May we go viral. So with that, much love to everybody. Thank you so much again. And I look forward to hopefully connecting with more and more of you in the coming period of time.
Bye,
So,
everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, get home.
See you, Maria.
Bye.
Bye.